ドジャースのマックス・マンシー選手が地元局スポーツネットロサンゼルスの番組に出演し、自身の胸の内を赤裸々に語りました。インタビューでは昨季のワールドシリーズを振り返りながら、長いレギュラーシーズンからポストシーズン、そして頂点を目指す戦いを完走することがどれほど過酷なのかを率直に明かしています。見どころたっぷりの内容を日本語字幕付きでご紹介しますので、ぜひ最後までご覧ください。
Max, have you had a moment for it all to really just set in just yet? I mean, back to back, the celebration in spring training is now around the corner to hopefully have a back to back to back kind of season.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't really set in yet. It's been too quick. We're already getting ready for the next season, and these off seasons are really, really short. But that's what you want. That's why you're playing the game. You want it to be as short as possible, and we've had that for a couple of years now. And it's almost that time to get rolling again.
Max, what's going on? This is Jerry. First and foremost, congratulations. You're a three-time World Series champ, and then back-to-back as well, as Kirsten mentioned. Listen, it never gets old watching the highlights. And I know something that doesn't get old. Your home run you hit in Game 7 to bring us closer to set up Miggy Rowe than Will Smith. Can you kind of take us back to that moment when you hit that ball off the bat and what you're feeling rounding the bases?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it a couple of times. Like, the first thing that popped into my head was like, yes, that guarantees Shohei another at bat. And when you've got Superman, you're like, okay, that gives us a chance. We guaranteed our best player another shot at the tying the game or winning us the game, and it's a home run in Game 7 of the World Series. You want to show a ton of emotion, but we were still losing at that point, so I wasn't sure exactly how to react to it. But like I said, the first thing that's popping into my head is we got Shohei coming up at least one more time now.
Max, at Media Day before Game 1 of the World Series, you talked about just how difficult it is to even get to the World Series for a second straight year. Now that you've had some time to exhale and celebrate, how difficult is it to repeat as world champions?
Yeah, it's something that you can't really discuss in like a short segment. Like, there needs to be a long talk about it one day, but as I mentioned, the off seasons get short, and that's what you want. But when your off season is so short, you don't have, the full time to recover. Most guys, when the off season comes, they'll take, anywhere from like 2 weeks to a full month off before they get back into training. And for us, we don't have that time. You have to get right back into training, and so your body's not getting a full time to recover. And that's where, with the long season, you start seeing some of the guys break down a little bit. There's just not enough time to recover. And, there's not really anything you can do about that. We're trying to be smarter about how we're managing guys and, workloads and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you have to get recovery. And, for us, winning that first World Series, we started in Korea, and then you win the first World Series, and then we start in Japan and win another World Series. So you're talking about, our season was already longer than anyone else, as it was just starting overseas. And then we went to the World Series, and, so that's back-to-back years of having just the longest season possible. It takes a toll on everybody, and that's why it's so hard to go out there and keep winning. And that's why you saw a lot of the dips, as the season went on. It's tough to keep that going.
But what have you learned just about yourself, Max, especially with a shorter off season, as you mentioned, whether it's kind of starting the year so early with starting overseas in Korea or Japan? This year it's going to look a little bit different as there's no overseas start. But when you play to the very end, how have you found just managing your off season and what essentially those 2.5 months you have to yourself, but also training your body in preparation now for the 2026 season?
Well, to start with, it doesn't feel like 2.5 months. It feels like 2.5 weeks. I think for me, and this goes with a lot of the guys that I've talked to already, we're starting all of our programs and routines as late as possible, understanding that with a normal, well, it's not really a normal spring training because of the WBC, but, it's still, we're not having to be ready for our first game March 15th or whatever it is that, the last several years we've had. So a lot of us are starting our routines a little bit later, knowing we're not going to be fully ready that first spring training game, and that's all right. But that's kind of what spring training is for. And for a lot of us, we need to take the old school approach of, spring training is for helping us to get ready, not to be ready going into spring training. And I think giving, those guys as much rest as possible is going to do wonders, just helping us out throughout the long season.
Max, you spoke on Superman, who we all know he's probably the greatest player to ever play this game in Shohei Ohtani. And you got a couple other superstars like obviously Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. But will you speak on, and you're a star in your own right, but will you speak on the other guys? Because it took everybody last year, and really the year before, but especially last year, it took everybody to win that World Series.
Yeah, it's really cool for me to the small times I've had to reflect on it. It's really cool to look back and just realize we don't win that World Series without every single person that participated in it. Every single guy on the roster played a key part in winning that World Series. It wasn't just one guy taking over. The World Series in past, Freddie kind of took over for us. And this year, it was literally every single guy played at least one role throughout the entire postseason. And, you could just name a guy on the roster and you can say, oh, that guy made a play. You look at Justin Dean in center field with, the ball that got stuck. You look at Will Klein, who was in Arizona for every series prior to the World Series. Tommy making defensive plays, Mookie doing what he did at short and then having a big hit in Game 6 and 7 for us. And, every single guy played a role to where if we didn't have any one of those guys, we don't win. And that's a really cool thing for me to look back and just realize how much of a team effort it was.
Wait a minute, you just said that you've only taken small parts of your offseason to reflect on the World Championship, something that hasn't been done in 20 years to repeat. What have you been doing, Muncy, that you're so busy that you can't reflect?
Max, feel free to yell at him. Yell at him.
No, don't worry. He gets yelled at all the time. He knows it. I've been busy, man. We got baby number 3 popping out any day here. I've been trying to train and get ready for the season and the holidays. It's a whirlwind, man. Like I said, I feel like we've only had like a week off from when the end of the season happened, and it's already January, and we're going to be in Arizona before you know it. So it's you don't really have time to just sit around and just gloat about it. You have to start getting ready and preparing for the next season because it comes quick.
Max, before we let you go, I just have a quick one for you. We all happen to know there were some tattoos that, of course, made their way around the world. If you guys go back to back to back, are you committing to getting a tattoo as well?
No, I'm not going to commit to that. I don't do needles. I can't do it. So, there might be some other guys that'll commit to it, but I'm not going to commit to that. You will not see me on that table with my pants down. I'll promise you that.
I can handle the procedure for you, Max, if you need me to.
Well, if you're there, you definitely will not see me. If you're there, Dave, I probably won't be at the party. Let's be honest.
Max, we thank you as always. We can't wait to see you here shortly. Only a month? Not that we're counting down or anything. So enjoy the rest of your off season. We're wishing the best to you and Kelly. Hopefully baby number 3 is here soon. So thank you as always.
Thanks, Max.
Yeah, of course. Love you, Dave. I give you crap all the time.
You're the man, Muncy.
最後までご覧いただきありがとうございました。今回の動画についてどういう感想を持たれましたか？ぜひコメント欄で意見や感想をお聞かせください。チャンネル登録やグッドボタンを押していただけると励みになります。それでは次回の動画でお会いしましょう。